How's it going, guys? I'm here to review the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, the remake.
Tell me how much you love me.
How much?
That much.
That much?
This much.
That much.
This movie stars Jessica Biel, Jonathan Tucker, Erica Learson, and Arlie Ermey from Full Metal Jacket. Yes, that fucking guy. And he is ruthless in this movie. So, this is the second film that is distributed by New Line Cinema after Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. And this is directed by Marcus Nispel, I could pronounce the name wrong. He also did the remake of Friday the 13th, 2009. Check out my badass shirt, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original classic. So the plot revolves around 5 group of kids, teenagers, going to a Texas concert, or some kind of concert, a country music concert for all I know. So either way, they're going to a concert, they're traveling to Texas, and of course, they then see a hitchhiker, a weird teenage girl. But unlike the first movie where it was a straight up fucking maniac, this one you can tell is a victim that basically like ran away from the family. So they pick up the hitchhiker not knowing that she's a victim. She's a teenage girl she's all like covered in dirt and she's crying and shit. She's terrified for her life. They're asking her what's going, like, where do you want to go, like what's going on. Of course, all of a sudden she just has a handgun in her dress and then just blows her fucking brains out. Like she kills herself pretty much. So as soon as the hitchhiker shoots herself, the whole group starts to freak out. They stop the van. They have to like, basically they're debating, the guys and the girls are debating whether they should just dump her on the side of the road and just keep going, or the girls are thinking that they should go get help, they should bring the cops, like all that shit, so they can get that solved, like kind of like the most innocent way of doing this. So of course they stop by the meat station or the gas station to try to get some like a phone calls to get some help, but of course everyone in that area in Texas, which is part of the cannibalistic family, but we all know they're workers. They're just acting sketchy, they're acting weird, they're refusing them to help, but of course they eventually get a hold of a so-called sheriff. The sheriff arrives, and you can tell right off the bat the sheriff is not your typical sheriff. The sheriff's character is played by Arlie Ermey, who he was in Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, I should say. He is pretty much one of the best parts about this movie. He just toys with these kids. He messes with them. He even points a gun at them in one time. He just talks shit to them. He basically, like, he doesn't break his character. He is like a Full Metal Jacket on these characters, which is really, really kind of scary, but kind of amusing in a way. So as the sheriff was taking the body, the group was already split up. One of them, or two of them, goes to the house, and of course, to the cannibalistic family's house, of course. And then they stumble upon a old man in a wheelchair. He's asking him, why are you in my house? And Jessica Biel, which is the main character in this movie, she then starts to ask him if she can borrow his phone to call the sheriff. But the sheriff was already there at the other group, but she doesn't know that.
Hey, are you okay?
They're all dead.
It's a bad man.
I'm gonna have to call the cops, I guess.
Excuse me! So of course, one of the other dudes starts snooping around the house, and of course, surprise, he gets killed by Leatherface, just like in the original movie. Takes him in his fucking cellar, and just, you know, Leatherface just does his thing. And from that point forward, you know how these movies go. These kids get killed off by this cannibalistic family one by one. So what did I think about this movie? In my opinion, this is actually not a bad remake. I actually enjoyed the hell out of this remake for numerous reasons. This movie is such a huge improvement of the last movie, The Next Generation, with, you know, Renee Zellweger, Matthew McConaughey. Fuck that movie. This movie is such an improvement. It goes back to its like disturbing, scary, just dark roots. It really does. Will I say this movie is good as like the first two? No. Is it better than the third one? Maybe by a slight tab, possibly. But it is definitely better than the fourth one. I pretty much like all the characters in this movie. Jessica Biel is very attractive in this movie, of course. Jonathan Tucker is a badass in this movie. Erica Learson, didn't expect her to see in this movie, but she is really talented in this movie. If you guys don't know Erica Learson, she was in Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. She was in Wrong Turn 2. She's a talented actress for sure. So I thought Leatherface looked crazy in part 3. In this one, he looks freaking scary. I mean, when I was a kid, a little kid, I was watching Freddy vs. Jason like so many times. But once I go to the bonus features, of course, I looked at the trailer for this movie. And once I saw the trailer for the first time, I was pretty disturbed. It kind of creeped me out. It shocked me just how like surreal it is, how dark and mysterious. It didn't that's how a trailer should be. It didn't show you a lot, but that last scene, that very iconic last scene, you see Leatherface closing the door. But as you see Leatherface, he looks hella scary just by the trailer. Just that only 2 seconds of Leatherface in that trailer already tells you that he is scary.
What the hell are you doing in my house?
You're all gonna die.
So yeah, he is really menacing in this movie. And I'm not gonna lie, he is more savage than pretty much the last 2 to 3 sequels. I wouldn't say he is as savage as Leatherface from the original one, of course, but he is pretty savage. And I like this. This is pretty much, in my opinion, this is my favorite look of Leatherface. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the original look of Leatherface, the 1974 version, but the 2003 version of Leatherface looks more terrifying in my opinion. Plus, I always use him, that skin or that costume in Mortal Kombat X when I'm playing as Leatherface. I always use the Butcher / 2003 variant or costume. The plot is good. The jump scares, the terror is good. I like the atmosphere in this movie. It gives you that like raw, like dark, like feel to it. I don't know how to explain it, like that grainy, dark feel to this movie. I don't know. I like the atmosphere. I love the filter, how it builds off that atmosphere. So I like that. I like Leatherface. I like the characters. The special effects in this movie is good. The score, the music is good. It's kind of haunting. So I appreciate the score. The performance by Arlie Ermy, really outstanding. He gives me that Full Metal Jacket vibes. Really love that character. Sheriff Hoyt. That's his name, Sheriff Hoyt. Of course, the remake, they didn't really change anything, of course. They just changed just like pretty much the cannibalistic family. They added more members of the family. Of course, instead of a cook, like the characters like sheriff, the leader of the pack, and instead of the last name Sawyer, they changed it to Hewitt, the Hewitt family, which I found kind of okay. In my humble opinion, Marcus Nispel, he did better in this movie than Friday the 13th. Like, he really did good in this remake, but in the Friday the 13th remake, he did alright. It wasn't as scary as, like, it wasn't scary enough like this movie, which is kind of disappointing for the Friday the 13th remake, but thankfully this movie it's one of those most refreshing, like, remakes that you'll ever see, and that's a good thing, because most horror remakes are really not that good, and this is honestly one of the good ones in my opinion. I would rate this movie a 7.8 out of 10. It wasn't as good as the first two, but it was slightly better than the third one, and way better than the fourth one. So that was my quick review of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake. Please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
He's killing him!
Who's killing who?
What's wrong with you people?
Oh, mama.